Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. So, today we are in immigration chat with me, attorney Lillian Chukura from Lily Legal, where we help our clients get immigration status for themselves and for their families using the U.S. immigration law system. Today, I want to talk to you about how to put together a strong green card application. I will be using the LRIF as an example because this is for the Liberian green card, and that application deadline is near. Okay, the application deadline is December 20th. So if you are watching this either live or on the replay, and you are just scrambling to get your application together and sent out, well, I got you covered, okay? I will go over how to have a strong application so that you can get your green card if you qualify, okay? So, if you would like to have a confidential consultation with me, go ahead and schedule an appointment by calling my office at the number on the screen. And all my contact information will be in the description to this video as well. So, the reason the reason that I'm doing this video today is because I typically get one or two questions a week on this topic, right? People that are trying to do things last minute and they want to know, how do I put this together? Do I still have time to put this together? And the thing is, if you qualify and you can get all your documents together before the deadline, go ahead and apply. Okay. Again, if you qualify, go ahead and apply. If you're missing documents, I would still recommend that you go ahead and apply just so you don't miss the deadline. And then go ahead and supplement once USCIS asks for those documents. Okay. So it is really important that if you qualify, I know I keep repeating that, but if you qualify, go ahead and apply. It is such a gift. LRIF is such a gift. And we don't know if it's going to be extended again. We don't know if there's going to be another version of this in the future. So I just want to make sure that if you qualify for this, that you are getting your applications in before the deadline. Remember, your application has to be received, not mailed, not mailed. It has to be received by December 20th, 2021. Has to be received. So, the question you need to be asking yourself right now, if you are still putting together your application, is which shipping method you're going to use. Okay. Do not use the cheapest option, which is the snail mail that might take 3 days to get there. And no, we've passed that point. Okay. We have passed the point for you to use snail mail to mail this application. You want to do express mail next day, anything that's guaranteed, right? That the delivery date is guaranteed. That's what you want. And I stress this with everyone. In my office, that's what we do. Okay. We do the guaranteed option because we want to make sure that it gets there on time, and we have proof that it got there on time. Okay. If you do one that's not guaranteed, or that there's no signature required, or there's no tracking, how would you know if it got there on time? So that's why I say you can use, you know, USPS, you can use UPS, you can use FedEx, but just make sure that it is guaranteed. One, two, that you are tracking it and you know when it's going to get there. Okay. So it is really, 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 really important at this point, if you have not mailed your application in, that you send it next day, guaranteed delivery. Okay. That is, that's the first thing. Okay. That is the first thing you need to make sure, because if it doesn't get there by December 20th, if it gets there on December 21st, I am sorry, USCIS will deny your application because it got there too late. I know, I know. Even if you sent it out today and it doesn't get there until December 21st, USCIS will deny your application. So you really want to make sure that it is guaranteed next day, today. I don't, right? You want to make sure that it will get there before December 20th, just so that you are secure in knowing that your application got there on time. So if you are joining me and you have questions about immigration, it does not have to be on this particular topic, but if you have questions on immigration, go ahead and put it in the comments. If you are watching this on the replay and you have questions as well, go ahead and put it there. I do go back and respond to your questions, especially if you're not live. I do go back and respond. So go ahead, put your questions in the comments. And if you want to watch any of my previous lives or any of my Tuesday tips, you can do that on my page on Facebook or on my YouTube channel. They're both at Lily Legal. Okay. So now, now that we got the shipping part out of the way, let's talk about the first thing you need to do. You need to have a strong application. The first thing is you need to make sure that you fill out your application correctly. I know. It seems so obvious, right? It seems obvious that if you want your application to be strong, you have to fill it out correctly. But there's some certain questions that people are not sure how to answer, and then they end up skipping it or answering it incorrectly, and that would lead to delays on their case. So that's why I say, if you are going to be filing, especially if you're filing without a lawyer, you really want to go through and read the instructions first before you start filling out the forms. That's always my recommendation. Read the instructions fully and then fill out the forms, because you want to make sure that if there's anything, any nuances, any questions that has like part 1, 2, 3, you want to make sure that you understand what each part is asking, and if you even have to answer them if the first part is no. Okay, so that's the first thing. That is the first thing. Make sure your application is filled out correctly. If you overstayed your visa, you need to indicate that there's a question on there that asks if you violated the terms of your non-immigrant status. That is on the green card application. That's not me. Okay. It says, did you have you violated the terms of your non-immigrant status? So this means if you came to the US with if you came to the US with a visiting visa and you never left, well, guess what? You violated the terms of your non-immigrant visa. If you came to the US with a non-immigrant visa and then you proceeded to work, you didn't come with a work visa, but you came with, let's say, a visiting visa, and you then decided to work in the US without authorization, you have violated the terms of your non-immigrant visa. There's a separate question on there if you have worked without authorization. Okay, that is a completely separate question on the application, but working without authorization is a violation of your non immigrant status. So you would need to answer yes to those two questions. Okay. So it is so important that you make sure that you're filling out the forms correctly, reading the instructions, making sure there's no questions that are left unanswered. And most importantly, when you are filling out the part about how you qualify for this visa, how you qualify for a green card. So typically, if you're filing through a spouse, you say spousal application, US citizen spouse. If it's parents, you'll say you're filing through your parent. You have all those options, but because this particular green card option is new, it's temporary, they are not including that on the forms. So when you are filling out these forms, it will ask you what's the basis of you applying for a green card. So then you have to indicate that it is LRIF. That's it. You go to other and you write in what the basis of you filing for this green card is. So that's why I say it's really important that you read the instructions, because guess what? This is in the instructions. This, what I just said, is on the USCIS website. So if you miss that, you could end up having your application rejected, and you do not want that. Okay? That's why the application is the first thing that you need to get right to have a strong application. Okay? So the next thing is the evidence. So now your forms are correct. Now you need your evidence to get it together. Remember, you need your birth certificate, um, proof that you're a librarian. So either your birth certificate, passport. I'm going to tell you guys again, the best proof that you are a Liberian national, that you are a Liberian citizen, is going to be, is always, always, always going to be your Liberian passport. Okay. The best proof that you are a Liberian is always going to be your Liberian passport. So no matter what else you have, the best proof you're ever going to have that you are a citizen of any particular country is by having their passport. And that means having a valid passport. So if you have an expired passport, unfortunately, that's not really proof that you're currently a citizen of that country. You will need to renew your passport in order to show that you are a citizen. Now, if you only listen, if the only thing you have is your birth certificate, go ahead and file with your birth certificate, and then get your passport, because at this point, like I said, we are a few days away from the deadline. You do not have the time to be getting a brand new passport. I have not met one embassy, okay, that's able to process the passport that quickly. Okay, so unless you have connections at the embassy, you're not going to be able to get your passport that quickly. So go ahead, file with what you have, but make sure you are getting your passport, just in case. Just in case USCIS asks for it, you have it ready to go. So another thing that you need to have as far as evidence is, if you have ever been arrested, ever had to go to court, you need the court documents, right? You need to present those documents, because one, the forms asks if you have ever been arrested, cited, charged, anything like that. If you've ever went to court, if you've ever had to go to jail, anything like that. So the form asks those questions. Now, if you answer yes, you will need to provide documentation to show what actually happened with that charge, with that arrest. You need to be able to show USCIS what actually happened there. So it is so important. Okay, I'm talking about LRIF today, but this goes for anyone filing for a green card. Okay, if you are filing for a green card, you need to know that if you have ever been arrested, charged, cited, anything like that, you need to provide the documents. And this includes driving without a license, because some people think that's not really a criminal offense. No, that counts. And you need to include that. Okay. If you had to go to court for a speeding charge, that counts. You need to include that and show what happened. It doesn't mean that it's going to stop you from being able to qualify. It just means that you need to disclose it. Not disclosing it is bad. Okay, that's the best way I can put it. Not disclosing that you've had a criminal charge is the worst thing you can do, because then USCIS is going to see it as that you're hiding something. You never want it to seem like you're hiding anything, because you have nothing to hide, right? You already know what charges you have. You can present the documentation. You don't want them to think you're hiding something, because then they are going to grill you. They are going to do like extreme background checks. Excuse me. So you really want to make sure that as you're applying for these things, that you are basically giving them the information before they are able to get it themselves. And that goes for like everything, everything. Um, so I always, for my clients, I always err on the side of disclosing. Okay, you always want to disclose these things. You don't want it to come back later and be the reason that you don't get your green card, right? That's just silly, especially if it's a charge that is not really a problem for immigration purposes. You really, you really should not be hiding any charges. And this includes even if, because I've had some of my clients think that it's not relevant, but even if it was dismissed, right? Even if it was dismissed, you still have to disclose it, because guess what? Guess what? When they do your fingerprints and they do the background checks, they're going to find out that you were charged with a crime. Even though it's dismissed, you're supposed to tell them. They're not supposed to be the one finding out on their own. They're just supposed to be confirming what you've told them. Okay. So if they do a background check and they see charges that you never told them about, now they're going to be looking at your application like, is there more that this person is not telling us? Okay. So you really want to err on the side of disclosing even things that are just dismissed, things that were dropped by the prosecutor. You really want to just go ahead and disclose any criminal charges, because you do not want that to be the reason that your case is not approved, okay, or that there's a delay in processing your application. Now, before you file, if you have any serious criminal charges that you're not sure if it affects your green card application, you need to be talking to an immigration lawyer before you file. Because depending on the charges that you have, you may be something called inadmissible. If you are inadmissible and you file and there's no waiver available to you, then your case will be denied. Your application will be denied. So, an example of this is if you have, for example, a charge of possession of marijuana, even if it's 20 years ago, even if it's 30 years ago, but you have a charge of possession of marijuana and you want to know, can I file? Well, it depends, honestly. Right? If it was just a charge and it was dismissed outright without any findings, and the prosecutor basically said, "Oh, we don't have enough evidence to prosecute this case, so we're going to dismiss it." Okay, you're fine. However, the issue becomes if you were actually convicted of the charge. Okay? If you have a conviction for possession of any drug, that's a problem. If you have a possession of marijuana specifically, there may be an option for you to apply for a waiver. But you won't know that unless like someone actually looks at your documents and is able to analyze whether you qualify for a waiver or not. Okay, so again, to get a waiver, it really matters how long ago the charge was and the quantity, right? So some people may have, 1 ounce of marijuana on them, and they're charged with possession and found guilty. Some people might have 100 pounds of marijuana possession, and they are found guilty. So it's really, those two things are not the same. The person that has like 1 ounce may qualify for a waiver. The person that has 100 pounds of marijuana will most likely not qualify for a waiver. Okay, so it's really fact specific. So whatever charges you have, you want to present that to a lawyer with all the documentation, including the documentation that shows how much of whatever drug it is that you had on you. Okay, the quantity matters, the time frame matters. So it's really, really important that if you are applying for a green card, whether it's through this program or through family, through employment, that you are disclosing your criminal charges and that you are disclosing it to your lawyer if you're working with a lawyer, so that they can see, make sure that you qualify and see if there's any waivers available to you if you would not be able to qualify. Okay. So just really wanted to go through that because I had to go through that with a client. So I know it is an issue. I know it's something that people struggle with. So I want to cover that for you. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and put it in the comments. That's what I'm here for. I am happy to answer any of your immigration questions as we continue talking about how to have a strong application, especially if you're filing for LRIF. But um, these will also apply to anyone applying for any green card, through family, through employment. These will all apply to you as well. Okay. Um, One of the things that you need to have as evidence for LRIF specifically is presence, right? You need to show that you have been physically in the US since November 2014. That is non negotiable. You need to be able to show that you've been here. And you can do that through, if you worked and got W-2s or anything like that, you can use those as showing of your physical presence. If you went to school, if you were part of a church and you had like some function, you were a part of it and you had some role in the church and you can document that, that would be great. Medical records are great to show physical presence, because how can you have medical records saying that you had surgery or something like that if you were not physically in the US? Okay, so basically anything you can get to show that you have been here is important. Letters from family and friends, um, leaders in your community that know you and have known that you have been here. Those are also helpful, but you do want more of the documents that are not, you know, subjective. So you don't want you want more of the documents, like I said, the medical records, the school records, the work records, more than you want the affidavits from family and friends and people in the community. But if you are not able to have any of the other ones, the affidavits may be enough. So don't do not fret if all you have is statements from people and yourself saying that you've been here. As long as you can show when you came in and how long you've been in the US, you should be able to still qualify. Okay. So that's really the bulk of what I wanted to talk to you about, because it is so important that if you qualify for this, that you're applying and that you know the main things that will help you have a really strong application. You want to have all these things upfront. Okay. You don't want to wait till USCIS gets back to you and says, hey, we're missing all these documents. Like, nope, you don't want that. You want to already have it ready to go and file it with your initial application, so that when they're reviewing your file, they have every single thing they need to decide your case. Okay. To schedule you for an interview if necessary. Okay. You may have an interview, you may not have an interview. Most of my people have had an interview, only a select few haven't. So just know you're probably going to have an interview. You need to be prepared. I prepare all my people for their interview because it is so important. This is basically your chance to prove to the officer that you qualify, and if they have any questions about your qualifications or your immigration history or your criminal history, they're able to ask it to you in person and get your answers. So having an interview is not a negative thing. Okay, it doesn't mean that there's questions about your application. It just means that you have to come in for an interview. Most green card applications get an interview. Okay. Most green card applications get an interview. So having an interview is normal. Not having an interview is the unicorn. Okay. So don't think that just because you have an interview that there's something wrong with your case. It just means you're on the normal pile, okay? So just know that. Um, and then as you're preparing for your interview, just make sure you're going through your immigration history and you're thinking about anything that could come up. Like I said, for my clients, I do a mock interview. They come in, I ask them questions like I'm the officer. Okay, that's how we work. I make sure that they are prepared. I make sure that they know what type of questions to expect. And sometimes I grill them. Okay, especially if there's something in their background that could be seen as negative. I make sure that I just get in my USCIS officer mentality and ask them those questions. And sometimes it seems harsh, but it's for their benefit. I don't want them to get into an interview and the officer starts grilling them and they freeze or they misspeak. I want them to already know the type of questions that will come up based on what we know about their case. Okay, so it is so important. The preparation for your interview is just as important as the application packet that you're filing. Okay, so I hope you found this helpful. If you have questions as you're watching this, go ahead and put them in the comments. And I'm probably going to be doing another video just on green cards in general and giving you my top 3 tips on having that strong application. Okay, and making sure that your green card gets approved. All right. So that is all I have for you today. As always, if you want to schedule a time with me, go ahead and do that. We can meet in person or by Zoom. And you can do that by going to my website, lilylegal.com, or by calling my office. Number is on the screen, and all my contact information is in the description of this video. Thank you so much for your time. And remember, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you know someone who needs to hear this, please share this video with them. And if you are listening in a place that you can subscribe, like my YouTube channel, and you don't want to miss anything, I do uploads on YouTube that may not be lives on Facebook. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you do not miss anything that I upload. And once again, I am attorney Lillian Chukura. I am the owner and attorney at Lily Legal, where we help our clients get status for themselves and for their families using the U.S. immigration law system. Thank you so much for your time, and I will see you next week, Friday, for more immigration chat. Bye for now.